Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Mr. Rand.
Good afternoon.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Just to confirm a couple of things, you never saw April Millsap or a young lady on the trail, correct?
I saw young ladies on the trail, but I didn't see April that I'm aware of, no.
Okay. And you didn't see James Donald VanCallis on the trail, correct?
No, I did not.
Okay. What you saw was the dog who was on the south side as you went east, and then was on the north side from what you could tell in the woods.
Correct.
Coming back. When you passed him and the dog was on the south side, the dog was not barking or making any noises, correct?
That's correct.
And did you hear any noises from where eventually you heard the dog barking?
No.
Not at all. And I think you stated that you did not have any headphones on or anything, so you're listening to the sounds of nature, correct?
Riding along, just listening to whatever sounds are there.
Now, about how much time passed between the time when you passed the dog, and the dog is on the south side, you go over here to Richmond, and then you come back, and the dog is on the north side?
Think about an hour.
About an hour.
About a half hour one direction, about a half hour back, give or take.
And sir, you used an interesting term that I've not heard before, pedestrian bark. What does that mean?
Pedestrian, I use that a lot. It's steady and consistent. He wasn't growling, he wasn't none of that. It was just arf, 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 consistent, what I call pedestrian, just ba-doom, 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 but consistent. Like he's calling out.
Okay. And did you hear any other sound, like maybe a motorcycle or
No.
screams, tussle, anything else going on in that?
Nothing.
Okay. And is your iPhone set for our time zone, for the Eastern Standard
Yes.
time zone? Is there a setting clock time on your app so you can set the clock? Or is it
It automatically picks up off the phone.
off the GPS? Okay. Do you remember how many people you saw on the trail between Fulton and Elmer Road that day, if you remember roughly?
Normally on the trail at that point, you see 2 or 3 people. You always see more people at crossroads, and that's a natural pause for a lot of bikers, is they'll take a break, because from there the next break is really when you get to Romeo. The next break after Romeo is when you get to Washington Township, like Stony Creek. Those are the natural breaks in the trail. So people tend to congregate. There. So you see more people. And then as you're going east towards Richmond, it thins out. So you see a lot more walkers near towns, then it thins out, goes back to serious bikers, and then as you get to Richmond, it picks up again. You'll start seeing husbands and wives walking, you'll start seeing girls, and you see a lot of girls, which you get to know are like high school, they're running high school track, and they're practicing for track. You see a lot more of that, depending on the time of day.
I know at the time that you saw the dog on the south, side and then heard the yelping on the north side. It wasn't anything that crucial. Later when you got home and heard the news, then of course that information became crucial, correct?
Felt ill that I didn't stop.
I'm sorry?
I felt ill that I did not stop.
I'm sorry to hear that. But, sir, now that you've had a chance to go back and think how crucial that time period was, do you recall what kind of groups of people you saw? I don't.
Because from there, the next break is really when you get to Romeo. The next break after Romeo is when you get to Washington Township by Stony Creek. Those are the natural breaks in the trail. So people tend to congregate there. So you see more people. And then as you're going east towards Richmond, it thins out. So you see a lot more walkers near towns, then it thins out, goes back to serious bikers. And then as you get to Richmond, it picks up again. You'll start seeing husbands and wives walking, you'll start seeing girls, and you see a lot of girls, which you get to know are like high school, they're running high school track, and they're practicing for track. You see a lot more of that, depending on the time of day.
I know at the time that you saw the dog on the south side and then heard the yelping on the north side, it wasn't anything that crucial. Later when you got home and heard the news, then, of course, that information became crucial, correct?
Felt ill that I didn't stop.
I'm sorry?
I felt ill that I did not stop.
I'm sorry to hear that. But, sir, could you put the picture of the motorcycle? It's this picture, whatever this is, back up. 22. Mr. Cross, could I ask you to step over here, bring the pointer with you if you would? On this right, can you tell, is that white or is that Bondo?
Looks white.
Looks like. And did you know what Bondo is, so the ladies and gentlemen of the jury know what Bondo is?
Yes.
What is Bondo?
It's a compound you can mix up to use a filler.
And what do you do with it? What's it used for, primarily?
If they have a dent or a scratch or maybe a crack.
Okay, now auto repair, correct?
Yes, auto repair.
Now, you see here that these shock absorbers are very prominently blue, correct?
Yes.
In the video that we saw, they seem to appear to be black, don't they?
I couldn't tell you right now. I didn't look before.
Okay, we'll go back and look at it. You see some writing right here? Some big white letters?
Yes.
You see anything else distinctive? You see a rear light right here?
Yes.
And I don't even know what these are. What are these? Oh. Did you play the video game, Mr. Keith? Stay right there, please. Keith, if you can remember to stop about the same spot that Mr. Cataldo had you stop at. Somewhere in here, I think. Stop. Do you see any blue in here on the sprockets or on the shocks? Or any different color than the rest of the bike in front?
No.
You do see a light color here, and it is in the shade, so it could be white. Is that correct?
Yes.
We do see something here, right, which is right on the motorcyclist, correct? We don't know what it is, but we see a white mark.
Yeah, I don't know if I found it or not, but I see the white mark.
Well, we can, could you take it back and play that part again, Mr. Keith?
Which part would you like, Mr.
This again, sir. Take it back here and then play it back. Coming right back here. Stop, please. Now, do you see something right there? Or no?
Yeah, right there, yeah.
Yes. It's hard to tell what that is, isn't it?
Right.
We don't know if it's glare. We don't know if that's a two-tone jacket the person's wearing, correct?
Correct.
Now, let's go back to the bike. Do you remember that protrusion we saw with the two rear indicators? Do you see that on there?
Not on that image there.
Sir, feel free to go up closer if you need to.
No, I don't see one.
You know what I'm talking about, right on that bike we just saw, it had like,
Yes.
what almost looked like back brakes, which you said were indicators, correct? Now this area that's white, does that look substantially lower than the area that's white on the bike that we saw, or no?
It's just, it's glaring to me, but maybe a different picture.
Okay, so now
It does come over.
it does look lower, correct?
Yes.
And it could be glare, correct?
Correct.
Mr. Keith, could you put the picture of the bike back up, sir? Whatever this is, it's much higher, isn't it?
Yes.
What is this though? I keep forgetting, what do you call it?
Very.
Fairing. And this is pretty prominent, is it not?
Yes.
Have you ever before today indicated this is the bike that's on the video? Are you in a position to state that?
No, I'm not.
And you've reviewed this video and these pictures in this case for practically since it began, correct?
Viewing it as you're looking for a motorcycle.
Okay.
Not viewed as looking for details.
You're not trying to tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is the motorcycle that's on there, are you?
No, I'm not.
Play that video one more time, so let's stop 1 second. Take a good long. I'm sorry, go back to the motorcycle for a second, please, Mr. Keith. Take a good look at that. There's some white writing there, correct?
Yes.
Some white writing there. I don't know what it says. It looks like TR maybe or LTR or something. Did you say that's right?
Yes.
And there's some white color here, correct? Or light color?
Yes.
And this is definitely right, almost parallel to the seat, right?
Yes.
How could you play that video again, please, sir, one last time? From the beginning, here it comes. Stop right there for a second. As I was coming up here, I know you can't tell so much of this, but did you see those rear blinkers or that bar with the blinkers at all this time?
Not necessarily, no.
Would it help you to review it again? Would you want to take a look at it again?
Sure.
Would you please play that again, Mr. O'Keefe? Stop right there, please. First of all, did you see it as it came this way? Did you see any of the blinkers, the blinker thing that we talked about?
No.
Do you see it here?
Maybe if you go back and screen.
Go back momentarily, Mr. Keith.
see it here?
Maybe black, maybe right there.
But that's going into the white area, right? Isn't that some white area right on it? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, this is right here, it's a little black. It's black.
Okay, but that's like right in the middle of something white, like a white shadow of some sort, isn't it? Is it not, or am I misstating this?
Appears, yes.
And that's rather long, right? That's not, that doesn't seem to be,
Yeah, I guess my objection is going to be, he's asking if he sees it, he says yes, then he's arguing with him whether he sees it or not. I mean,
Ask him if he sees it, let's move on. You can't force him to see something if he's not seeing it.
no, I'm not trying to do it, but I want the record to be clear because this is not going to be, the video's not going to be in the record. That's the only reason.
Oh, video's part of the record. It's always part of the record.
All right, can you move very slowly from here? Stop. Do you see it there or do you not see it?
Not distinctly.
Well, do you see anything that looks like it? I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Do you see the little bar with the two blinkers there or no? The white is lower, right?
Yes.
Do you see any of that white writing, the letters that we saw, LTR or whatever it said?
No, no.
Do you see any indication of those letters? I mean, I know we can't make them out, but do you even see any?
No, you're not.
Thank you. Nothing further. Thank you, sir.
we have other witnesses that will be discussing this, so.
You can tell me that later.
Right,
Do you have
we're-
any questions of the?
We're done, no.
Thank you, sir. You're excused.
Thank you.
And your next witness?
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, Your Honor, William Buchanan. Please go this way, Mr. Buchanan.
Sir, do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give to be the truth?
I do.
In your first name, is William?
William.
Can you spell your last name?
Buchanan, B-U-C-H-A-N-A.
Thank you. Have a seat. Please speak loudly.
Well, afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
May I call you, do you wish to be called William or Bill?
I go by Bill.
Okay. How old are you, Bill?
59.
And where are you employed?
I'm employed at Romeo Rim Incorporated.
What does Romeo Rim do?
We supply composite parts, large composite molded parts.
And what's your position with Romeo Rim?
I'm an engineer by education, but I do technical development there. I've moved from engineering to working more with customers and developing markets.
An engineer?
Yes.
Okay. How long have you been at Romeo Rim?
I've been there for 2.5 years.
Are you married or single?
I'm married.
Do you have any children?
6 children.
What city do you live in?
It's Bruce Township, north of Romeo.
And I guess how long have you lived there?
26 years.
Do you have any hobbies of any type?
Yes, I snowmobile, I bicycle bike, I fish, are my main hobbies, my main loves, and I tinker in my pole barn, tinker of things.
Let's go to biking. You were very distinct in that. You're talking about not a motorcycle, you're talking about exercise through a bike?
Yes, I
Okay.
bicycle currently.
Are we talking about a casual bike, or are you a serious biker in this form of exercise and you have a bike specifically for that exercise?
I have a specific bike for that.
The judge would like to probably know, if she'd asked
Okay.
before, what type of
Yeah,
bike do you have?
I was a runner, a distance runner.
All right.
A few years back, I decided that maybe I don't want to later have hip and knee problems, so I moved to biking. And so now I bike a lot of miles. I've got a Cannondale mountain bike that's fitted with a smooth tread I do more trail riding than I do off-road mountain biking nowadays. And I do it more distance, so they're smooth in the middle. They're called Michelin city tires.
Does this detail come from the engineer in you, that you have to match tire to?
Sorry, probably, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I researched them.
Now, we've been talking a lot about the Macomb Orchard Trail. I guess how close do you live to any part of the Macomb Orchard Trail?
4 miles probably. I'm off 36 and that's at 32 in Romeo.
Would you be north or west of Armada when you're in Bruce?
Northwest.
Northwest. So you're further out?
Yes, yes.
I'm neither Rand nor McNally, so...
Yes, I would go south and east to get to Armada.
Okay. Do you ride the Macomb Orchard Trail on a regular basis?
I do.
In the summer of 2014, how regularly were you riding the Macomb Orchard Trail?
2 or 3 times a week.
When you would ride the trail, what would be your average, average ride? Well, first off, do you ride by yourself or do you ride with somebody?
Both. My wife and I typically ride twice a week during the week and maybe once on the weekend, and then I try to get in 2 or 3 other rides by myself.
When you do these rides, are you more often on that trail, or do you exercise on a variety of different trails in that area?
Most frequently the Orchard Trail, because I'll throw my bike in my truck and after work go, if I'm by myself, or meet my wife there and ride. But we also ride a few other trails in there.
I see that you do not wear glasses. Do you wear contacts?
I do not.
Do you have any problems with your vision?
I use reading glasses for print, small print.
And that's about it?
That's it.
When you ride, do you ride with any distractions?
As in music or whatever? No,
Correct.
no.
When you ride, then, do you have any riding glasses, whether safety glasses or sunglasses?
I do. I wear a pair of glasses to keep debris out of my eyes, especially bugs. And I've got different lenses that I switch out on.
But again, not prescription, just regular
No, they're
glasses?
just protective glasses.
Did you ride the Orchard Trail on July 24th of 2014?
I did.
We have spoken to several other witnesses and those of your serious people that exercise on a bike. They have what we call sport apps. Do you have a sport app?
I do have a sport app on my cell phone.
What is the name of your sport app?
Sport tracker.
What information does it capture from your ride?
It captures my start, and then it captures each mile, lapse time, speed, and then total time and total distance for the whole trip as you're proceeding. So it'll call off the last mile I rode, the miles per hour, the minutes and seconds, and then it'll say total miles. If it's 3, it'll say 3 miles.
They'll show you people's proposed exhibit number 112 and ask if you've had a chance to take a look at that.
Yes.
Okay, are you familiar with what's on that sheet?
Yeah, that would be the route that I rode on that Thursday.
Not to point out the obvious, but since you're having to read something up close, did you just take a pair of glasses out and put them on?
I did.
Okay, thank you. Let me ask a couple of questions. Let me move at this point for the introduction, Your Honor, of people's proposed exhibit number 112, which is a summary of the information from the app tracker on that day.
No objection, Your Honor.
Do you store that information per ride?
Yes, it's got a diary.
Okay.
For each trip.
And how do you access that diary?
Just poke on the app, and I can go on there and look back at the history. Normally what I do after I'm done riding, after I get home, I'll open the app and just take a look at, I track my lap times, my fastest time, my slowest time, and kind of look at where was that and try to put that together, especially when I'm by myself biking. But it also has a website that you can develop a username, profile, and password.
So the information isn't stored on your phone itself, it's actually stored in an independent site?
That's correct.
And that's at the company itself or a location they've designated?
That's Sport Tracker's website.
And your access to it then is through your phone or through your home computer?
Correct.
Then let's take a look at the information from July 24th of 2014. Would you step down, Mr. Buchanan, would you put up that? Okay. For the purposes of the record, I would have you indicate that what was the total distance of the ride that day?
18 and a half miles.
And at what?
2.3.
Okay, your average speed?
17 miles per hour.
See, here's actually, let's say, maximum speed here also.
22.7.
And what was the total time of your ride that day?
1 hour, 4 minutes, 32 seconds.
Now, in looking at the way that this is set up here, the red line, are you going from right to left when you start, or are you going from left to right?
So the map would be north because the trail goes under Armada. So I would be going from left to right.
Okay, so you would start up this way going toward Fulton? Or did you start on the other side of Fulton heading toward?
Fulton would be here.
Correct.
Correct. So I start from the east and go from the west and go east and then back west.
Okay. You have a seat for just a second. And you indicated that you're fairly familiar with that trail
I am.
and the area itself?
Yes.
I'm going to put up people's exhibit number. It's a map that we had introduced earlier. We have two maps of the area, Google Maps, one which includes Omo Road and one which does not include Omo Road. Which one? 33? Okay. 31 is without Omo, 33 is with Omo. Please stand up, come on back down. Would you take a look at this map? Now, this might give you better context than that one from your app tracker, does that look familiar to you?
Looks familiar.
Okay, would you point out where the granary is?
Greenery will be back here.
Okay, where Olmo Road is?
Home Road would be right here.
Okay, no, Olmo Road, we're talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry, church, we're in town.
Okay,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, be out this way.
Okay, now, if we look at where Olmo Road was, just to get a better key for you, where did you start out? What, your first path of the trip, what direction were you going to based on what you see here?
So I started on Powell Road, between 32 and 33 in Romeo, and rode up and through Armada and over to past 33 Mile Road one time as you're going north, and then you come back down and you pass, become 33 Mile Road, and then turn around at 33. I know that's an 9-mile mark for me, so it'll be 18 full trip, and turn around and head back to the bicycle.
The form of my question previously was if you had started from home. You didn't start from home that
No, I
day?
did not.
Okay. You started from, you came from where to go to the trailhead?
There's a park, gravel parking lot for accessing the trail on Powell Road, about midway between 32 Mile and 33 Mile.
And that's where you start?
That's where I started.
Okay.
Park there.
So you were, in terms of the picture here, you're going from left to right when you're heading out. All right, my mistake, thank you. When you started out, approximately what time did you start out?
I started at about 5:40 p.m.
Let's talk about the weather. What's the weather like that day?
Sunny, blue sky, warm, not too hot.
How crowded was the path?
Traffic was light.
What about at the roads themselves, where like Fulton is or Olmo? Do you have any traffic there?
Vehicle traffic?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah, vehicle traffic.
Yes.
Now, I see you averaged 17 miles an hour. Mr. Land had averaged approximately 14 miles an hour, and your maximum speed was 23. I mean, you're like cooking, right?
Pretty good speed for a mountain bike.
Okay. Are there times where you also then have to slow down, or times in that 1 hour ride where you may have come to a stop and rehydrate and anything like that?
I normally don't stop to drink. I have to stop at road crossings. Romeo Plank is the worst, a lot of traffic, fast. Armada Ridge is another one, and then Fulton isn't too bad. Sometimes you can roll them if the traffic's far enough away, but sometimes I have to stop. When I flip at 33 on the furthest east point to turn around and go back, I typically pause for a few seconds to get a drink and put it back in, but generally I hydrate on the ride, on the way.
No, I didn't put that. Now, I'm going to hand you a disc as People's Proposed Exhibit number 113. I'm going to ask you if I showed you that disc previously,
Yes, you did.
and then do we play what was on that disc for you?
You did.
And what was that information that was on that disc?
On this disc, some of this information was on there, and also a view captured with a GoPro, which is a camera. It looked to be attached to a four-wheeler.
Okay, we'll get to that one in a second. This is more directly to your sport app.
Okay.
Okay, did we show you the information?
Yes, you transposed my Sport Tracker diary onto the map and showed, we went through time timing before.
And you're familiar with it? That was the track that you took that day?
Absolutely.
And that was the information that you looked at when you went on the website prior to even contacting law enforcement to identify it as the path you took that day?
Yes.
Okay, at this time now, we move to the introduction of People's Exhibit number 113113, which is the downloaded track of his ride on July 24th of 2014.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, if you would come on down a second. Would you explain to the jury, is this a legend or a graph?
That's a graph.
Okay. Would you explain to the jury what the graph is here and why we have spikes in it?
Yeah, the graph is basically taking a look at my performance during that ride, and you can look at it at different intervals, right? I usually look at it by the hour, but I can also pull up this and show the peaks would be the fastest speed, the lower would be the slow down, potentially like a stop at the road, as I mentioned earlier. That would probably correspond to the focal street, and basically also the duration.
Are you familiar enough with that trail, having ridden it, to know where you are when you're between Alamo and Fulton?
Yes.
Okay. Have a seat if you would, just say. How many years have you been riding that trail?
Since before it was paved, so I want to say at least 6 years.
Not to be cruel, but did you have different tires on your bike?
I did. It was when I first started biking as an old Schwinn with knobby tires.
So you're real familiar with it, you've been riding it for years?
Yes.
Had you ever, before July 24th of 2014, seen a motorcycle on that trail?
I did not.
Had you ever seen an ATV on that trail?
Not on the trail. There's a couple of locations where there's paths that go up over. There's places where farmers farm on both sides of that trail, so they bring tractors across. And I have seen an ATV off in the distance from the trail. I could see that.
But never itself on the trail?
I've never seen one on the trail.
On July 24th of 2014, did you see a motorcycle on that trail?
Yes.
Where are you, I guess, what direction are you heading in? Well, if we could put 33 back up. If you would step down again. What direction are you heading when you see the motorcycle?
I had ridden to 33, turned around.
Okay, just so that I'm comfortable. Hold on.
Yep.
We've got Elmo Road right here.
Yes.
We know the next one is Pitt.
Pitt Road.
What's after Pitt?
33.
Okay, so we've got Elmo, then Pitt, and 33.
Correct.
Okay, now, you started at approximately what time?
I started at Powell around 5:40.
When you're heading east towards Elmo, do you see a motorcycle on that trail?
I do not.
Do you see a young girl walking a dog when you're heading in that direction on that trail?
I did not.
Are other people on that trail at the time?
Yes.
Now, you get down to 33 Mile Road, and you indicate that you turn around?
Correct.
Okay. Take us back now from 33 Mile Road.
So from 33 Mile Road, I approached Pitt Road, rarely traffic there, probably roll right through there. And then as I was approaching almost, but not quite to it.
Okay, so if we have Elmo Road down here, you're talking about some area off here?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Back here.
Keep your voice up, please.
Yeah, so as I'm approaching Olmo Road from east heading west, I could see a light down the path 3/4 to a mile away.
Now, if we have, let's take a look at the foliage here, all right? Would you describe, I guess, the foliage from Olmo Road to, are there electric lines on that path? on Macomb Orchard Trail?
There are.
Okay.
Yes,
Do these electric lines ever cross the path?
they do.
Would you show us on that picture approximately where they cross the path?
There's some that cross earlier, and then there's some that cross before this curve, approximately here.
And would you describe what we're seeing here is this area versus this area?
Yeah, this is, as you get through here, there's farm fields, there's thin foliage, you can basically see through there all the distance. And then as you get up here, it thickens up. And there's variation of sunshine on the trail, the foliage doesn't come up over. And then there's places where it's actually tunnel, the trees block out the sun.
When you indicate that you're seeing this light, is that where the area is open or is it where it's tunneled?
Where I saw the light?
Correct.
The light was straight down the path, and I could see it, when I first saw it, I couldn't tell if it was in the tunnel or open, but I could see the light real well, and the sun was behind it. And it would have been before the curve, obviously, because I'm just approaching the road. I can see it, so it's obviously on the straight part of the path.
Now, we're talking about dead afternoon daylight right now?
Yes.
You've encountered bikes on that path before that have had, I guess, lights on it, regular bikes, mountain bikes with lights on it?
Correct, I have lights myself.
Okay. When you first see the light, are you thinking anything unusual?
I thought it odd that we're in full daylight and somebody's riding with their light on. I mean, as it gets dusk, they'll throw that light on so you know somebody's approaching. Certainly when it's dark, but most people don't ride with their lights on during the day.
And this is a regular bike-type bike, not a motorcycle bike. You're talking about your experience.
My assumption from that far out that there's a bicycle coming with its light on. And its light turned on, there's different modes. There's solid beam, there's kind of a rapid flash, and then there's a slow flash. This one seems to be a slow flash.
Now, when it comes to, do you have any experience with motorcycles?
I had several.
Okay.
Dirt bikes.
So you're familiar with the dirt bike?
I am.
How do the lights on dirt bikes work?
Well, it's basically pistons turning the crank on the motor, and that crank turning basically is working to a magneto or whatever the setup is that's generating electricity.
Is
And
that,
charging the battery.
okay. Does the battery come off that magneto? Does that battery come off the, does that light come off the magneto? Does that light come off the battery?
If the engine's running, the light's going to be operating off of the engine's generating electricity. If the motor's off, you'd be using the battery, and it would be solid.
Now, is it solid both times? Or is it solid only when it's on the battery?
It's solid when it's on the battery, and it will get solid on most motorcycles as the RPMs.
If it's idling, is that light then solid?
That's when it would typically oscillate.
Are you seeing it oscillate as you're riding up the path?
I did see it oscillate. I assumed it was a bicycle that's set on the motor for its flash.
All right. If we could put up the GoPro video, what is the exhibit number on that one that we introduced to Chief Smith? I'm going to show you People's Exhibit number 32. Did we show you that earlier?
We did look at this.
Okay. You are familiar with the trail?
Well, that was pretty cool.
No.
Yes.
We're going to, just hold on for a second, we're going to get to, he's going to speed it ahead and turn it around from Homo Road, so just hold on. All right, so, does this intersection look familiar to you?
Yes, it was like almost
All right.
straight. Got a curve.
And then we're going, heading what direction?
We're heading west.
Heading west. And this is what you were doing when you began to see that light?
Yes, actually before I even crossed Homo. Right. There's a small bridge you could go over before you get to Homo Road.
The GoPro is going to turn onto the path right away, and Now, from there, if you would use the pointer, just go ahead and stop it. Where is it that you're seeing that light?
I'm seeing that light above there.
Okay. So, at this distance, can you tell whether it is or is not a motorcycle?
No, I assumed it was a bicycle.
Does it cause you any concern at this point as you're riding up and you think that it's a bicycle?
Not at all.
All right. And again, not looking at this, whether the day that you were there, it's sunny, and the foliage pretty much consistent with what we see here down at this end of the trail?
It is.
Okay. Does it open up and clear up as you get
It
further
does,
up?
it does clear up.
All right. At any time when you're moving west on the trail from Almo toward the light, is there anything that blocks your vision?
No.
Is there any animal or any other people between you and where you see that light at this time?
At that time, at the first sight of the light, no.
Go ahead and play it. Now, I'm going to assume that if you're riding at your, this was taken at 10 miles an hour, if you're riding at your average of 17 miles an hour, you're keeping a solid pace?
Correct.
How far ahead are you able to look, I guess, from the position that you're seated in as you're riding?
My eyes are constantly moving, because I'm looking for, like you said, something coming out of the woods. I've had deer across the trail. I'm looking up all the way down, and then looking down within about 20 feet from my bicycle for obstacles that could be in the trail that I don't want to hit. So I'm constantly moving my eyes as you look at when you drive a car. I go up and down and glance to the side.
Again, show us where we've stilled this exhibit. Would you show us again where that light is? Okay. Now, at what point does it become, I guess, clear to you that what you're looking at is not a bike, but a motorcycle?
Halfway to 3/4 between home and reaching or something. Right? It was clear that the light was bigger. It was a little different in tint. Usually the bike lights are an LED color. And when I thought it was a bike, I thought there's a couple guys that ride these little, you sit in it, it's a three-wheeler, and sounds like older people, older than me, tend to run with their lights on in the daytime. There are a few. So I could see that it was larger than a bicycle, and I think I recognized it as a
Right. I mean, because you have experience with dirt bikes before?
Well, that's part of it, yeah.
All right. All right, go ahead and keep playing. Now, when you see this motorcycle on it as you're approaching in this direction, is this the direction that you're still headed?
Correct.
Is this an accurate representation then?
Yeah, it lightens up.
Okay.
Foliage is a little more set back. There's some shoulder.
At about this point, are you certain now it's a motorcycle?
I am.
What causes you concern as you now realize it's a motorcycle?
Main concern is, first of all, what's he doing on this trail or adjacent to it? Secondly, I am going, 17 average, and what direction is he going? What's he doing? Right? He's facing me now, and as I got closer, the handlebars were actually turned a little bit. He was parallel generally, but more turned toward the trail. And with the handlebars turned slightly. Still enough I can see the headlight, but I didn't know what his next move was, right?
You strike me as a competitive, aggressive guy. I mean, what are your emotions when you see a motorcycle that's now causing you consternation on this path?
Number one, it doesn't belong there, right? Number two, there are people out walking it, there are children, families, people like myself biking that bike to the trails. And so I'm just worried more from a cautionary standpoint. Why is it out there?
Is there anything else at this point to distract you from looking at that motorcycle?
No, I was focused on the motorcycle. There was really nothing else in the area.
All right, continue to play. So as we go here, you're still... see some lines up here, these lines, are these lines across?
Yes, yeah, they run parallel, and then as you get up a little bit further, they cross the road trail.
In comparison to that, where it crosses, where do you pass next to the person on the motorcycle?
Very near where it crosses overhead, where the foliage is still light.
So it's
It's
crossing
in the
over-
sunlight. Yep.
So it's crossing over right now?
Yep.
Okay.
So he's over on the trail side here with the rear tire, the motorcycle generally in the gravel. Front tire closer to the trail and turns slightly to the left.
Can you tell at this point whether it's a male or a female on that bike?
I could see that it was a young man.
Can you tell whether or not the bike is running at this point?
The headlight was on and oscillating.
Did you see the bike move at all as you began to approach it?
I did not see the bike,
Is
other than
there-
a slight handle on that.
Right. Is there anybody at this point, between you and that bike?
No.
Is there anybody coming from the other direction that you would have focused on that would have caused you to lose your attention?
No.
Is there anything happening on the left or the right side beside that motorcycle?
Nothing.
Have you been looking at this motorcycle then the whole time that you've been coming up that path?
I was focused on it.
Could you give a physical description of the male that was riding that motorcycle?
I can.
All right, if you would tell the jury.
Yes, as I approached, I could see that it was a young man, tall and slender, like at least 6 feet.
When you say young, are we talking teens, 20s, 30s, what?
I thought him to be older teens, 20s, in that range.
Right.
He had a helmet on, so
And I'm going to show you people's exhibit. It's not out. Would you, Becky, please get it on the phone? I'm going to show you an exhibit in just a second. So besides the, is he wearing a helmet? Would you describe the helmet for me?
yeah, it was a full face helmet with a clear visor.
Was the visor up or down?
I don't recall if the visor was up or down, but I could see his eyes, so if it was down, it's clear. Could have been lifted.
What type of clothing was he wearing?
My recollection is long pants, a pair of jeans, and I recall white on top, whether that was a white t-shirt under something or a white shirt.
And do you recall the color, I guess, of the, was it long or short when you talk about the pants?
Long pants.
Could you see shoes?
I don't remember shoes.
Could you see arms?
Yes. Yes.
So it would have been short sleeve versus long sleeve?
I don't recall for sure. I was really focused on his face and his eyes. I mean, I'm looking at the eyes as a tell to, what are you going to do here, right?
Well, then that's why you're approaching.
Correct.
Now, I'm going to show you, would you put the light back on, please? I'm going to show you people's exhibit number 21. Does that look like the type of helmet that he had on?
Yes.
Okay. At the time that you pass him, I am going to walk toward you. You stop me at the distance that you passed him physically at. So that would be approximately 6, 7 feet? It's a yes?
That's a yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm riding in a foot or two off the edge, right, for safety. And then he's just at the edge of the trail, so I'm going to guess about 6 feet.
If you saw that person again, would you be able to recognize him?
I would.
Do you see him in court today?
I do.
Where is he seated, and describe an article of clothing that he's wearing?
Seated all the way to the left of the front table with a dark jacket on, gold tie, and blue shirt.
At this time, Your Honor, I would have here, have the record reflect the identification of James VanCallis.
Sure.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how certain are you?
It's a 10.
Why are you so certain?
Looked him in the eye, was waiting for his reaction. I was certain about the shape of his face, some facial hair, and his eyes especially. The first time I had seen a picture of him, I was at home in my kitchen.
Okay, we'll get to that in just a second. We will.
So, large eyes, I was looking directly into his eyes.
All right.
That's something.
I'm going to... All right, we're going to show you People's Exhibit number 72. Is that what you were looking at?
That's what I was thinking.
Okay. And you talked about the eyes. Would you describe what it is about the eyes that captured your attention?
They're very large, round eyes, larger than most.
What about the facial hair? What can you see in terms of facial hair?
I could see light brownish hair
On his
face.
So you pointed, just for the record, at the mustache?
Yes,
And that was visible as you were passing him by?
it was.
Could you see the color of the hair on his head?
I could not.
What about- All right, could you see his chin at all in this sort of?
No.
No. So that's pretty much what you're seeing, and you're comfortable with the identification on that?
Yes.
Now, would you describe the bike that he is on? You can take that photo now. Can you describe the motorcycle that you see?
Yeah, he's on a on-off road bike. I think I used the description of a Suzuki DRZ as typical. High front plastic fender, knobby tires, with telescoping forks in front, fairly tall saddle that was straddling. Light and dark colors. I don't remember specifically the color, but I remember a light colored fender, and as I went by, a darker tank and some other features of the bike.
Enough for you to recognize from your days of experience with the motorcycles the type of bike that it was?
I had a similar bike.
Did you acknowledge him in any way?
I actually, his eyes were so wide, I thought he was angered or nervous or something, and that maybe his concern was, I'm this purist bicyclist, and I'm really angry with him, and so I just kind of nodded as sort of a, don't worry about me, I'm not going to narc you out for having a bike on a trail, right? Just gave him a nod. It's like, when I pass people on trails, usually the way they respond to a nod.
The helmet that you're wearing for the type of biking that you do, is that a full-face helmet?
For my bicycling?
Right.
No, it's a typical bicycle helmet that just covers the top.
So the rest of your face is exposed, and your facial expressions would then be exposed?
Yes.
Does Mr. VanCallis acknowledge you?
Yes, he nodded back.
This exchange, did you then ride past him?
I did.
Did you ever turn around to look back over your shoulder at the bike?
Not back over my shoulder.
Did you ever look back to see the motorcycle at any other time?
No, I did not.
Do you encounter anybody else then on the path immediately after passing Mr. VanCallis?
Yes.
Would you describe to the jury what you see?
Immediately after passing him, I entered the tunnel of trees, I'll call it. It's shaded in there. The foliage is darker. It doesn't get as much sun. And on the left side of the trail,
Which is the same side he was on?
same side he's on,
Okay.
young girl heading west on the trail, on the left side, on the edge of the trail.
Does she have anything with her?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Do you see a dog on the trail?
I did not see a dog. It was not on the trail.
Did you see whether she was doing anything?
As I rode by, she's moving in the same direction I am. I saw her back, and then I looked along as I went by. I looked sideways, and she was looking down, walking fairly quickly, and her hair was down, covering her face. So I didn't actually see her face. I just saw her hair.
Do you have a guesstimate of how old the girl was that you passed?
She looked like a young teen, short, Her hair was longer than shoulder length, somewhat wavy.
The distance between where I'm standing and that back wall is approximately 40 to 42 feet. What was the distance, if we use that as a measurement, between the young girl that you just described and where Mr. VanCallis was on the trail?
I'd say that distance is pretty close.
Okay, so approximately this distance.
Right.
Did you see any interaction between the two of them?
I did not.
Did you see any interaction between the two of them as you were approaching?
I did not.
Did you even see the young girl or anybody by the bike that whole time that you were approaching the scene?
I did not.
Could you tell what type of shoes the gentleman was wearing?
I couldn't tell. I was looking at his eyes.
So you basically were focused on those eyes. And that to you was a very dominant feature.
Absolutely.
If you could have a seat. Take that down, Craig. As you're riding up and approaching on him, do you feel any stress?
Yes.
Do you feel any threats?
No, I don't feel threatened.
Were there any weapons or any distractions between you and the gentleman?
No.
Mr. VanCallis?
No.
Now, when you pass the motorcycle, you're actually heading back to your truck?
Correct.
And if one thing, if we could put 33 back up, just so that you could, on the overall map, come on back down just 1 second, just use your finger. Would you point out approximately where it was on this map that you saw the motorcycle?
Okay, on this map, Omo Road being right here, I saw the motorcycle right about there prior to the canopy of trees.
Okay. And the girl that just down from that?
West.
Okay, just west, all right, thank you. Because other than seeing a motorcycle on the path, are you thinking anything else now that you've passed it and you're just simply back on the bike ride?
I was trying to understand the scene, the situation, right? Unusual for the motorcycle to be there. She's on the left side of the road, or the path. My thought was there was something going on there between the two of them, right? My thought was that she's still on the same side of the path, they just had a rendezvous. Like I thought, is it a girl walking the trail and meeting with a boyfriend that she's not supposed to, or he has a motorcycle that he just dropped her off? I mean, just thoughts going through my head. I was trying to process why these two figures were there and in the position they were with what they were doing.
If I could have you put 33 back up, Craig, I just remembered something else. If you could just come back for a second. We know of the Liberty Trail. We know from other witnesses that up here at the Liberty Trail, you can actually access the trail.
Correct.
Is there any place between there and Omo Road that you can get a motorcycle onto that trail?
There's no other paths, no, not between the home and
So in fact, where you're seeing this bike, it's actually not at a location where there was an easy access, or as you indicated before, somebody crossing up over the top and then going down onto the other side.
My thought is, how in the world did it even get there? It must have come down the bike trail, because the foliage behind is thick, it wasn't pushed away, as though it just forged through it.
And then you see a girl walking just past him.
On the same side of the trail. It could be opposite to normal.
And you hadn't seen her until you passed him?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I see.
Can we take a lunch? Are you ready?
You're the one that asked me to start at 12:15, Your Honor. I'm ready for a drink. Thank you.
All right, we'll see you all back at, let's say 2:15.
All rise for the jury.
Don't talk. You sit down, you sit down, Bill. Okay. If you would, there are a couple of restaurants.